Welcome everyone to are we in May? To our May webinar. We're so excited to have you guys. We got lots of people signed up for this one. Turns out no one can get a hold of their leads, and we're going to figure out how to do it together. So just a reminder, our chat is always open. My favorite thing, and I always tell my guests, my favorite thing about our webinars is our chat. So get in our chat. If you have a question, pop it in there. If you know the answer, if you have like a best practice that you're doing at your school, put that in the chat. If you have compliments, Lauren's having a great hair day. Her earrings are beautiful. Someone write that in the chat. Like, get in the chat for all things. So we're so excited to have you guys today. We are going to be talking about how to get a hold of those leads that literally just like won't answer the phone. They won't text you back. What is going on with that? We have some best practices today. So I think it's gonna be a really, really good one. Just a reminder, Beauty Schools and Marketing Group has been on the road a lot. We were just at the SPEC conference. We're at all the NACAS conferences. Our next event will be in June at the NACAS event. So if you're going to be there, send us an email. Let's meet up. We would love to do that. We're going to be at the MAX conference and the FAPS conference this summer. And then this fall, of course, we're going to be back to NACAS in Vegas at AACS in October. So again, we'd love to meet with you guys in person, whether you are a member or not, just to chat. All right, let me introduce to you guys Loren, who I knew before she started working at Leadsquared. Loren, share with us a little bit about you and your history working in admissions.
Thanks, Jen. So happy to be here. I've actually been in some form of education for my entire professional career. I started by teaching at the high school and college level, and then started working at a completely online university that taught post-licensure nurses. So coming from a little bit of a different background than the beauty school industry, but I work with several beauty schools now. So at my school, I worked in student success, reporting and analytics, strategic planning, and I ended my time there as head of admissions. I felt very fortunate because we had a very close relationship with the marketing team at my school. So we would consistently meet to discuss outreach and messaging and lead quality and enrollment strategy. And I feel like that's kind of a rare relationship that exists. So I felt fortunate there. Now
I
I work
love your team. And then I worked with you guys a little bit on the side. And my friend Sarah, who works at Advanced 360, we worked with your team. And it was different for us because you were not in the beauty school space. But I loved it. And it turns out a lot of the things that other career schools do, whether it's a nursing program or a plumbing program, it all translates over, right? It's all the same. People are the same. People don't text you back. Like, everyone's the same. So, I'm sure now that you're working at Leadsquared, that's what you're finding as well, right?
Yes, definitely. It's really cool to see all of the different types of schools and how their strategies differ or similar across the spectrum. Yes, and Jen mentioned she did an awesome admissions and marketing boot camp for us with Sarah from A360, and then did some secret shopping and some content development. So it was fun to meet you and build that relationship before.
Yes. And now you're at Leadsquared, which I absolutely love. Leadsquared is a CRM for those of you who don't know. So it's a lead management software. So, when your lead comes into the system, if you don't have a CRM, it's getting emailed to you. And I hope you're putting it into an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Sheet or something to keep track of it. But if not, a CRM is a great way to go. And there's a lot out there, but Leadsquared really, really is great. You can reach out to me or Loren afterwards to get more info on that. But we're going to jump in and talk about our topic because I want to give tangible giveaways. You all know, you guys have been on my webinars. We're not going to sit here and just like give you a sales demo. We want to share actionable tips. And I think right now people are having a hard time getting a hold of these Gen Zers. I want to go back to admissions 101. Are basics gone? Or do you feel like some of those old school, like speed to lead, call right away things are still what reps should be doing, Loren?
I think speed to lead is still huge, even bigger now, right? You're not only dealing with competition who may have systems that allow them to be a little faster than you, like a CRM or some sort of automation setup, but you also are competing with companies like Netflix and Amazon who provide this like super fast personalized experience to the students. And they want the same experience when they're dealing with a school, right? So if you can be the first to reach out to them and the first to connect to them, I do still really feel like you have a leg up. So I think that rings true.
Okay, so we are all about speed to lead. I mean, within 5 minutes, within 10 minutes during working hour. What was always your go-to for your reps when you were admissions director?
Yeah, I'd say 5 minutes or less.
Okay.
And within working hours, but I mean, I think it kind of depends on the schedule of the lead, right? We had nurses who were working overnight hours, and so sometimes they would inquire at like 2 a.m. So if you don't have someone working, then the moment they sign in the morning, they should be calling.
But
Or
Lauren, they were up till 2 a.m. We can't call them at 9.
I know,
Give
yes.
them some time to sleep, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can also come up with other creative ways to connect with them without a human, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
So being able to send some sort of automated text message or like build a relationship with them until the admissions advisor can come in and actually have a
And
conversation.
this is why we love a CRM, because if you don't have something, an auto tool set up, I mean, you are going 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a weekend, right? Like if a rep is working Monday to Friday and a lead comes in at Friday at 8 p.m., you're going all of Friday night, all of Saturday, all of Sunday. By the time they get to Monday, they want to be a ballerina. Like, who
Mhm.
knows? They might have changed their mind. So I love a CRM that can nurture and even schedule, which we're going to be talking a little bit, later about today. Um, I want to talk about the goal, the overall goal, you guys, before we go over messaging. The goal is what, Loren, when a lead comes into the system? What should the admissions team, what should their end result be?
Yeah, so I would say to get them, if you have an on-ground campus, to a campus tour. If you're an online, then get them to the interview point.
Yeah.
And maybe this might be a little bit of an unpopular opinion, but also like identify if they're a good match for the school, right? Because one of the key things, at least when I was working, was like we don't just want to enroll any student, we want to enroll students who are going to be successful and graduate. So
Okay, well,
I
you
don't
just
know.
opened up a whole new can of worms, because if they have a pulse, we enroll. No, I'm kidding, but not really. I actually like that you said that, because what we don't want is a whole bunch of drops. We don't want leave of absences. We want to enroll people that are ready. That said, and I think admissions people could back me up on this. Like, I feel like sometimes you have a tour with someone who isn't super social. They're very awkward. They come in with their UGG slides and pajama pants, and you're like, uh, I'm not really sure that they even have the personality to stand behind the chair. But once they get in school and they build their confidence, they completely blossom. And so, yes, enroll people who are ready, but also you're in the business of changing lives. These kids are not coming in ready to be behind the chair. Thoughts on that, Loren?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, they have the potential to to build those skills, right? And that's
Yeah.
part of your job as the school is to get them to a place where they can be successful in the
Yeah, we're shaping them. So I think more so, as far as a fit goes, it's not necessarily like personality and how they look and how they carry themselves, but do you have childcare? Do you have a car to get to school? It's more some of those qualifying factors to make sure they're going to be set up for success.
Mhm.
Cool. Okay, guys, so the goal is a tour. And I say that because, Loren, I think a lot of schools are missing the mark because their goal is a phone call.
Right.
Is
You
that
can
like uncomfortable
you
to
can get
say?
people to sign up for a tour with any mode of communication, right? Make it as easy
Yeah.
as possible for them.
Yeah. So I think before we move forward with any messaging tips, because I really want to like dive in even to texting scripts. I think you are doing a huge disservice when the goal of a rep is connect on the phone, connect on the phone, connect on the phone. I think there was a time for that. I just don't think that time is today. And I want to be very clear. I think you do call immediately. I think you do try to talk on the phone because that is a better way to build rapport, but it's not the only way to build rapport, and it's not the only way to book a tour. All right, so let's chat a little bit about what that messaging looks like, or at least what you do when a lead comes into the system. So someone fills out a lead form, boom, they hit your CRM. Loren, you're a rep. What do you do? Walk me through that.
They hit my CRM. I'm looking them up and then I'm clicking to dial them.
Okay.
I'm also shooting them a text message, introducing myself. I know we're going to talk about messaging content.
Let's talk about messaging. What's a really good, okay, let's say, first of all, they don't answer the phone. What does your voicemail look like? Or do you leave a voicemail in 2024?
Yeah, really interesting question, because I was just thinking through content cadences, and there's like a distinction between calling and leaving a voicemail. Like those are two different strategies for some reason, right? Where
Yeah.
calling doesn't necessarily mean you leave a voicemail every single time.
Yeah.
I think voicemail, maybe you leave one and then leave it because a lot of people aren't listening to them anymore.
Mhm.
Um, I
Although the iPhone has that new feature now where, like, as you're leaving a message in real time, it's now being transcribed and you can even pick it up in the middle. So I almost feel, I've always told people, I'm like, don't leave a voicemail. I haven't listened to a voicemail since, I don't know, 2014. But now, like, I'll read them. So I think maybe now we switch. Thoughts?
Yeah, great. I mean, I just noticed that yesterday when I was getting a call, that new feature.
Yeah.
I was
Because
like,
you probably just did the update.
yeah, that is very cool. So if you're leaving a voicemail, be very clear about who you are and where you're calling from. So if they are reading that transcript and they can pick it up halfway through
Yeah.
or call back. I mean, I love the idea of also texting and saying like, hey, I'm going to be calling you. And if you can call and text from the same phone number, that's great, right? Because then they'll start making a connection that, I'm calling
Yeah.
from so-and-so.
Okay, love that you said that. So I know a couple schools that do that where they will say ahead of time, like, hey, this is Jen from ABC Beauty School. This is my phone number. I'm going to be calling you in about 5 minutes. I saw you requested information, would love to chat with you. I almost like that idea of setting it up ahead of time
Mhm.
so that it's not like an unknown number when you call.
Yeah, exactly. And even putting something in there that's like, save my information, so that if you do try to call them, it's a recognized number.
Yep. Yep. I agree. Okay, let's talk about the fact that they didn't answer. Maybe you left a voicemail, maybe not. Now what do you do?
If I didn't previously send a text, then I will send a text. And then
Okay.
I will always include like who I am, where I'm from, what I want them to do, right? Like, do you want them to call you, or are you sending them a link to set up a campus tour?
Okay.
And then something fun, like I was always a fan of like silly puns related to the season or whatever, or something related to the program that they're interested in. And if you have like motivational information on them, why they want to go back to school, maybe try to throw in a message about that.
Love that you said that about, okay. I think what we need to do, here's my thoughts, Loren. Let's chat this out. So I want someone to show up for a tour, but they are less likely to show up unless we built a little bit of rapport. And so, guys, by the way, I think a beauty school goal should be for every tour you make, 50 to 60% of those should be showing up for tours. As far as show rates go, we obviously would love to see, some schools are at 70%. I think you're killing it if you're at 70%. You're absolutely crushing it. But I think you're going to have a really hard time just like randomly texting someone, here's a link to my calendar, and then boom, they book it, and then boom, they show up. Like if you haven't built rapport or given them any sort of information.
Would you agree with that?
I think in some cases,
It
yes.
depends on the student, right? It depends on
Yeah.
the,
I,
yeah,
some people really do love like that self-service,
totally.
ability to just pick. Um, but that's kind of part of your strategy. Like if you try something and it doesn't work, like try something else.
Try something else. Exactly. So for a text message, I actually don't like pushing tours first off the bat. I also don't like pushing too much information about a school. I think that they didn't ask for it and you're giving way too, like, wait for the question. So what I like to do for a first text message is something more like getting to know them. Hey, saw you requested information about cosmetology. How long have you been thinking about a career in beauty? Just something just to get them to respond. Because I think the point of a text message is just to get them to respond so that you can pivot that to a tour, like we talked about. But I think if you're just coming off the bat and you're just like, hey, this is everything about my school, and we have this, and we have night classes, and we have day classes, and we have financial aid, and you can go on our website and you can read about FAFSA, and when do you want to come in and see our school? It's like, I just met you. I feel like you're jumping to ask someone for a date, like, and you literally just DM'd them. I feel like we need to slow down and get to know them. And I think you can do that building rapport over text. What do you think? Sorry, my dogs are running all over the place right now. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I completely agree. The text message is an opportunity to start building that relationship. And once they start responding to you, then you can ease into that.
Yes. Okay. So some other texting ideas for right off the bat. Hey, Katie, enrolling at ABC Beauty School is a really simple process. How soon are you looking to start? Right away or in the near future? Oh, I'm looking to start immediately. Or, oh, I'm looking to start maybe in 3 months. Great. We have lots of class starts, and that way you can like start to build that relationship. The next step toward enrollment is a free tour of our school where I'm going to get to show you around and answer all your questions, go over tuition and our schedules. How does tomorrow look for you? I have a 10 and a 2. Like we're pivoting to a tour, but you don't do that unless you can get them to answer a really easy question at first, which is why I love when I teach these classes, I always say, I call it breadcrumbs in a question. Like you give a little breadcrumb about your school, and then you ask them a follow-up question. Like we have, Katie, I'm not sure what you're doing for work right now, but when you graduate with us, we're going to help you find a job. What are you looking to do? Work at a salon or work for yourself? And like that like gives you a breadcrumb of like, we have job placement, but I'm making it about them. I think the problem with messaging right now with schools is that it's all about the school. And like these kids, like it needs to be about them. It needs to be about their schedule and how busy they are and what they want to do for work one day. And I think we're just word vomiting way too much about our school.
Yeah, I love the way you
Share
kind of
about that.
that like future picture for the student of what they can be doing once they graduate. When you said it, I was like picturing myself, whether working for myself or working at a salon, like which one do I want to do? So that was very cool and effective in such a short message. And I also want to point out you used her name in both messages. So I think it's really key to make sure you have that personalization in there, right? They realize that you're speaking directly to them. It's even if it is some sort of automated text message that you've set up, it's still personal to them and they feel like it is a one-on-one
Which
here.
is why we love a CRM. You said it. Like that's not even me typing something, right? That's me like picking a template that's like first name, comma, and then that message, and then being able to pick up the reply once they've replied to it. Um, okay, perfect. Let's talk about before we can talk more about messaging, but I want to talk about like first cadence. So old school admissions tells you like you call 3 times in the first day, you call 2 times in the second day, you call 1 time on the third day, and then every other day. Like I holy crap overkill. I want to talk about like today, like 2024 Gen Z kids. Are we scaring them by reaching out too much? What are your thoughts on cadence? And I know everyone's going to have a different opinion on this. So let's, also share yours in the comments if you have them. But Loren, what are your best practices here?
Yeah, my personal philosophy is not
as much outreach, but focusing more on quality outreach and different methods of communication and trying to recognize where the student is at and how they want to communicate. However, we have a lot of customers who are still doing the, tons of outreach in day 1, day 2, day 3, like 3 to 7 calls in that time period, and have been very successful still doing that. So I think there are a lot of, it depends on your audience, it depends on the programs you're offering, and I think there's a little bit of a generational expectation there
Mm.
too, right? Like people have different experiences, and so they may be okay with you reaching out to them a bunch of times and understand that, whereas it could be overwhelming to a different population. Like at my school, we offered bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees, and we had a different contact cadence for all of those different levels.
Okay.
They have different expectations, I think, about how the school's going to interact with them.
Yeah. I think what's really important is like, I love what you said about quality. One of the things that really bothers me is that, like, when I secret shop or when a school asks me to look at their outreach strategy, I just picture myself as the lead looking at my phone, and all the text messages are like, "Hey, it's Jen. I know you requested information. Are you still interested? Hey, it's Jen again from ABC Beauty School. It's been a couple days. Still would love to see you in here. Hey, it's Jen. Would love to get you in this school. I think you're gonna love it." It's like that. It come up with something new. You literally sent the same 4 back-to-back text messages, repeating the exact same thing, like in a different way. Can we just talk about how not effective that is? Like from the lead standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, especially if they can see the full text chain, so they can see what you've said every single time and you haven't responded. Um, I think that's why it's really important to try different strategies. And if you're able to collect more information, like I know we have a lot of customers who use like career readiness quizzes. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of a natural transition from the lead capture to the career readiness quiz. So you may have a little information about like why they want to go back to school or what some of their challenges may be or where they see themselves. And you can use that creatively to reach out to them and maybe mix up your messages a little bit.
Sure. But again, like going back to the breadcrumbs in a question, your school has enough stuff about your school that you can bring value to someone and then ask a question. So it's like you never want to just give information. You always want to ask a question so that they're going to reply to you. So even saying like, "Hey, Loren, we have flexible schedules for busy people like you. We have day and night options. Which one do you think will work better for you?" Like before we've even met them, like we're scripting just to get them to answer. And like something I feel like is super old school is an open text box of communication of like, "What questions do you have for me?" Like that is so overwhelming. If I'm 19, I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah. I mean, so I don't know how you feel about this one, but I've always liked the question like, how will you feel or what will your life look like in a year if you don't, sign
Love
up for
it.
the program? It
Love
is
it.
it is has like a little bit of a negative connotation, but it also kind of puts them into that situation.
Yeah, I agree. Let's go to the chat before we move on because you guys are amazing per usual in our chat. Some really good stuff. And I love seeing the same names too. Judith Brown says something in here, and we see her name up on here a lot. So love, thank you so much for joining our chat and our webinar again, Judith. She says it's not us, it's them. This is true. The generational divide has blocked the need for face-to-face actual phone calls because it's the norm to text. If you're not texting, you're not communicating. Personally, I prefer a phone call or at least a voicemail because I can hear tone, which is important. I agree. Like a phone call is why that to me is like the king, right? Like you can actually get feedback, you can go back and forth. We love a phone call. If your school is only relying on phone calls, you're not going to win. You're just not. Like you're only going to win over the people that do like talking on the phone. And there's a whole bunch that don't. So I think that was a, fair point. Also, there was a study done several years ago that said people are 180% more likely to text you back if you call first.
Hmm.
180% more likely to text you back if you call first. And the reasoning for that wasn't given, but I already know the answer to that. It's because they don't want you to call again. So like if your doctor's office calls you and you don't answer and then they text you like, hey, we need to make an appointment or, giving me some info, I'm going to text them back just because I don't want them to call me. So I think doing this like phone call and text strategy together is definitely the way to win. Okay, someone else said on here, this is a great question, Laura. What's a good first and then second voicemail example? So let's chat about actually the messaging of what your first voicemail sounds like. What do you got for us, Loren? What do you think a good voicemail is?
So I would do something like, hi, Jen, this is Loren calling from ABC Beauty School. I know you're interested in the cosmetology program. I would really love to learn more about why you're interested in this program and where you see yourself in a year.
Great, love it. And then what's your call to action?
Call me back, but then I would also follow up with like, hey, I'm gonna shoot you a text message. Feel free to respond if that's an easier mode of communication for you or something like that.
I like it. I really want to remind them that they requested information because it's not like you're just randomly calling people. So I like how you were like, hey, this is Jen from ABC Beauty School. You requested information about our aesthetics program. Really would love to chat with you, answer any questions you have. I'm also going to, like you said, I'm going to follow up with a text. Feel free to call me back or text me back. Now, they don't answer the phone. And so what's a good second voicemail? Let's chat about that because repeats
Yeah, I think
what I mean.
I would say at some point during the first, sorry if you can hear my dog in the back there. At some point during the first call and the second call attempt, you should send them an email because an email is a really nice way to be able to provide one, any kind of visual information you want to share, and two, just like more content in a condensed format.
Yeah.
So maybe the second call, they don't answer, you leave a voicemail. You're like, hey, I've been trying to get a hold of you. I am so excited that you're interested in going back to school. I sent you some additional information over email, like please check it out. And then we have starts every month. Love to get you in June or something like that. Like, please give me a call back or text back or
I
email.
love that you brought up the email. So I've been saying for a while now, and I've said it on webinars before, so it's nothing new, that email is like crap for actual just outreach. Like it's not going to be your CTA, but it's such a good assistant to your phone calls and text message. So even y'all already know this. The number one reason people don't usually get enrolled in your school is because they can't get funded. Like at the end of the day, if someone comes into your school and they can get funded, they're going to figure out a way to come to your school. And so even just outright like on the voicemail, hey, just sent you over the FAFSA information. We do accept financial aid here. We also have various ways you can pay for school. I'm sure that's top of mind. I want to get you in here so we can chat about that. That's the next step toward enrollment. Like even just coming right out of the gate and saying that, because we all know it's like the elephant in the room. We're like, would love to go over program information. It's like, they don't want program information. They can go to your website. They want to know how they can pay for school. Like, let's just talk about it. Kathy put in the group chat, most potential students have no idea what they want, so they won't know how to answer those open-ended questions. Again, we don't need to be asking people just like, what questions do you have for me? That's so intimidating. How many calls do you recommend making before you mark the person cold? Great question. Thoughts on that?
So I don't believe in ever not reaching out. So I feel like there should be a contact cadence that tapers off, but you can continue to keep in touch with these people because you have no idea what might happen in their life, and it could be better timing in 6 months or something like that. If we're talking about just initial when a lead comes in, I'd say like 15 to 20 days of solid communication and maybe like 10 to 15 phone calls during that time, or outreaches depending on what you're getting.
Different, yeah, a mix of outreaches. So I agree. I think the first 2 weeks are like hot. I think first 2 weeks, first 14 days, you should have a really, really strong 10 to 14 day strategy with leads. But guys, we can't just keep chasing these people if they're not going to be responding to us. Half the people who come into our system, you're not going to be able to get a hold of. And I think that's just a reality that no one really wants to talk about. Like 50 to 60% should be the goal for even contacting these leads. You can get, and I have, you know what, email me after if you want to see my overall benchmarks. If I have time at the end, I'll show them. But to get to a 12% conversion rate, which is what you should be at from like actual lead coming into the system to enrollment, to get there along the funnel, you really only need to get a hold of like 50 to 60% of these kids to begin with. So a lot of people are going to fill out a form on 15 different websites. A lot of people are going to fill out a form at 2 a.m. when they're depressed, but like they're not going to get a hold of you. And that's again, that has nothing to do with you. That has everything to do with them, and they're just not ready. So I love what you said. Keep them on a cadence, right? So what kind of like messaging would you send them then throughout their journey in your CRM?
Yeah, so I think you could do like event-based if you're launching a new program, or if you only have a couple of starts a year, you can do it for each start. Or if you have a special event coming up, just kind of like newsletter style engagement.
Yeah.
But one nice thing about a CRM again is like you can set up these cadences to your older leads to re-engage them, and then like a human doesn't have to do anything until they actually come back to you and say, raise their hand and say, I am ready.
Yeah, I agree. I think honestly, anytime there's something new going on in your school, so if you've just added eyelash extension training or like a Borboleta lash training to your SD program or Cosmo program, and now that's included in the kit, or maybe you're getting new shears for your kit. Anytime there's something new, people love new. We want the newest and greatest everything. We want the newest phone. We want the newest clothes. We want the newest everything. So if there's something new going on in your school, that to me is worthy of like a blast text, a scholarship blast text. Someone asked as far as like 10 to 14 days, what should we go heavy on? I would say heavy on phone calls and text messages. Emails should be assistance. So that's where I'm saying like you're sending out your schedules on an email, or you're sending out FAFSA information, and then you're sending out a text that says, hey, I just sent you over FAFSA information. Are you concerned about how you're paying for school? Like that to me is just to get a response. And the email was my assistant, but you can't rely on email to like be your end all be all to schedule a tour in 2024. What are your thoughts on that, on schools doing that mix, Loren?
Yeah, I completely agree. You have to do a mix. I feel like email, I mean, so many people have tons of unread emails. Your email will get missed unless you have that secondary call out, whether it's over the phone to them or in a text message. But you
Yeah.
should be using these methods of communication as complements. And also, when you use several methods, it doesn't feel as overwhelming. If you're calling them like 10 times in a day, it's very easy to get overwhelmed. But if they're
Yeah.
seeing call and maybe a text and an email, then that's a nice complement to each other, and they all have different
I think
functions.
that's great. And again, just making sure that these things are different messaging to me is the most important. Like you said at the very beginning, it's all about the quality of message. It's all about like asking, sharing something really great about your school, and then asking a very, very simple question just to get them to respond. That's quality. Put yourself in the shoes of a lead. They are going to be looking at their phone. And again, if all those text messages look the same, you don't look so smart. Like you actually do look like a robot. You look like AI that's just like regenerating the same text message. So I think we need, and I love that you said personalization. We need to get personal in our text messages, which is why I cannot stress enough. Everyone should be using a CRM. Stephanie in the chat wrote, during our cold nurturing, it's fun to send links to TikToks that you did as a school and said, hey, check this out. This is what we did in beauty school today. I love that. I absolutely love that. I think that that's fun. I think that's engaging. And that's something new to be sending. And it shows that you're cool and like you're on TikTok. What are some, okay, Deanna has a question here. What are some of first approaches to use that have been successful? Let's talk about what you are seeing straight from your clients. Loren, you guys work with hundreds of higher ed institutions. What are you seeing as really great for booking tours that show really great messaging? Just kind of give us like the overarching, bring it all in before we go to a demo of actually a new product that you guys have. What do you think your overall best practices are for reaching these leads?
I think it goes a little bit along with something you brought up earlier about like allowing the student to picture themselves at your school or in this career. We had one school that did a really cool TikTok of like, this is my day at ABC beauty school. And it was just one of those like quick, get coffee, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. And that was the first text message they sent, was just to like get a glimpse of what life is like.
Mm.
Um, we also have some schools using personalized videos where it uses like an algorithm to show things that are specific to that particular student, their name, their program, that kind of thing, different data you can pull in. So just something different there to catch their eye rather than just the traditional text message content.
Yeah,
And
good.
we have schools that are just doing the old school way, then and that's working well for them too. Just call.
Call, smiling, dialing all day long.
Yeah. I would say smiling and dialing is still like a tried and true thing. Like people can
Sure.
tell if you're excited to talk to them, right? And this is exciting time in their life. Like they want to upskill to improve their life. So I think that's something to remember. Like you're building relationships with people to better themselves. So sometimes it's hard to remember that if no one's answering or you're getting rejected a lot.
I agree. And like, listen, the rejection is big in the admissions department. So I cannot stress enough. Like, I always say, walk outside, get some sun every day, like drink, make sure you're drinking your water, like just step away from your desk, reset yourself because that rejection is really, really there. The other thing I want to bring up that I've been seeing a shift at in the past, I would say 4 to 6 months, this is more recent, is that schools that are winning today, and again, I talk with hundreds of schools. Like I go to all these events and I'm not just there to like take pictures and put them on LinkedIn, despite, what you might think. I'm literally like asking every school, like, what's your first text message? Or like, what's your strategy with this? Like, I always want to know what schools are doing, especially schools that are winning. And more recently, and this isn't just with beauty schools, this is with higher ed career in general, schools that are shifting to more financial focused tours and financial focused, even messaging right off the bat, are winning because today websites are so rich with content and your Instagram page and TikToks are so rich with content that by the time someone gives their personal information to you on a lead form, they already know this is the program they want. Like they don't have to be talked into going to esthetician school. They know they want this. They really are filling out the form because they want to know how they're going to pay for it. And you are so hell-bent on like talking about stuff that these people don't even really care about. They really just want to know about the finances. So I've been talking with some schools that are shifting more of their messaging to be more upfront about FAFSA and financial aid. And they're even shifting their tours to be more focused on going over all the ways to pay for school, doing FAFSA on the spot. Because that's what these kids really want. Like, why aren't we talking about that, Loren? Like, we're so afraid of that in admissions.
Yeah, it just seems to be a taboo thing in general to talk about money, but FAFSA is very intimidating as well. It's kind of a confusing process and concept, and what am I getting
Yeah.
myself into? Like it feels very committing, obviously. So the more you can help educate them, I think financially as well, and make them comfortable with that up front, I think the more comfortable they will be saying yes to your school, right? If you can be
I
kind of a
agree.
consultant or advisor in that way, I think
Yeah.
that's a huge benefit that I don't see much.
I would love for all admissions people to get with your financial aid to do a crash course on how to do a FAFSA. School says, what about schools who have separate admissions from financial aid? You have to start combining them. You are not, guys, you are not awarding them any sort of funds. You are not going over the estimate letters with them. You keep that with financial aid, but you absolutely should be able to talk about your tuition. You should be able to talk about all the different ways you can pay for school. You should be able to talk about how the FAFSA application works. There's nothing illegal about that. I have talked to lawyers. I have talked to auditors. I have talked to school owners. I spent all last year studying financial aid. I interviewed like 5 different admissions directors and financial aid directors from different institutions. And then I started talking with higher ed lawyers everywhere. I was like, I keep hearing about this separation. Tell me what that means. And they're like, admissions just can't disperse the funds. Like, you're not supposed to be talking about that. You're not supposed to be awarding the funds in any way. But you can absolutely talk about how to do a FAFSA application. And you should be. What are your thoughts on that? I didn't even know we were going to go here, but
Yeah.
we're going here, Loren.
Yeah, I'm sure it feels a little scary from a compliance perspective to touch financial information and admissions, but I completely agree. I mean, they should have a good understanding of what the students have to go through too, right?
Yeah.
Like it can sometimes be a tough process. And I don't know how people feel about this, but maybe like a financial aid advisor can start joining campus tours or be available for questions, or if they, or you can do an open session. And so if you do feel uncomfortable giving specific answers, you have this confidant within your school that can help with those specific financial questions that may be a little iffy.
Yeah, I agree. I think several years ago, and you actually started out the webinar talking about this. Several years ago, the whole hot topic was like, we need admissions and marketing to work together. They need to get married. Your admissions will get better if you know marketing. If you want to win in 2024, admissions and financial aid need to be like this. They do not need to be separate. I'm sorry, they don't. Unpopular opinion. You literally need to be about this. So I want admissions to know how to walk someone through a FAFSA or at least answer questions and push them to do their FAFSA. I don't think any lead who is going to be using FAFSA should be leaving your school without creating an FSA ID if they don't have one on your admissions tour. I think that's like a must. I think you have to check that box today because it's going to help them along that process. I want to jump to, can we go ahead and bring in our other Leadsquared expert here so I can at least take a couple minutes and show you guys an exciting new product now that Leadsquared launching, which by the way, we talked a lot about personalization and we talked about filling out a form, but I think between the first text message, aka phone call, and the filling out the form, Leadsquared has a new product that they've been testing. I always, before I bring anyone on my webinars, I always look at them first. I want to make sure I'm vetting things and I never share anything that I wouldn't personally use. I think it's really cool. So let's go ahead and jump in and talk about it. Welcome to the webinar, Rupam.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks for that. Right. So I'll jump into it right away. So let me just go ahead and share my screen. Give me a second.
And while you're sharing, let me just give a little background. So our new product is called Flowstack. It's a lead conversion and engagement platform, and it's specifically built to help schools who are having a hard time getting hold of their leads. So it fits between that request for information and then the first contact, right? It helps with speed to lead, helps with engagement, and ideally helps with scheduling campus tours and just getting the student talking to you. So my colleague Rupam is here. He's going to show you a nice little demo of the platform, and please feel free to ask questions.
Thank you. Thanks for that, Loren. So like you can see, it's a lead conversion and engagement platform, like Loren mentioned. So the two keywords here, conversion. So we focus on increasing your enrollment and impacting your top line positively. And how do we do that is through our unique engagement module, which is automated, instant, very personalized and targeted. And I'll talk more about that. during the demo. But let's start with the problem in hand today, right? And let's look at a lead's journey today. So once they're on your website, they would navigate through different pages. And now when they want to talk to someone or ask more questions and learn more, so what is the next step that they would take? They would submit an inquiry form. And what is the experience today? They would get redirected to a thank you page. And the message they see is our counselor will reach out to you soon. Now, that is a friction because this lead is just starting their evaluation with you, and we are cutting them off with a thank you page. And what does that friction lead to? It leads to revenue leakage at the top of the funnel. Why? Because for the lead, there's no visibility on the next steps. They do not know what is the next step of action, when they should receive a call or email, from whom they should receive a call or email, and they have no visibility. And they might be looking for information, they want to learn more. And the problem is they do not get personalized information, and they have to wait for a call back, not knowing when. They might end up losing interest, might drop the idea or apply to a different college. And finally, when advisors call them, they would not pick up the phone because they might have already developed a relationship with another college. So based on that, our learning is 77% of prospective students enroll with the first advisor that they develop a relationship with. And this is where we could identify the problem statement. And this is exactly what we decided to solve for. So how can we instantly engage the lead and enable them to continue their evaluation? As I said, a thank you page is definitely not the solution. So what is the solution? And that's exactly what FlowStack does. And from here, I'll quickly jump onto the demo and show you the product, the solution, right? Now, let's say this is a demo environment where, let's say this is a college website. A lead goes through your website, lands on this form, which is the inquiry form. And then what happens? So with FlowStack in the picture, with a simple two-liner script that we embed in your HTML, FlowStack will start working. It's actually that easy. So the lead fills up the form with simple details like first name, last name, email, phone number, zip code, program of interest, or it can even be a complex form. What happens is all these fields that you see are attributes in FlowStack. So we can create rules in the backend and then accordingly uh, give a certain experience to the student based on what they're looking for. And it's extremely personalized, and I'll show you how it is personalized. Uh, so now with FlowStack in the picture, when the lead submits the inquiry, instead of seeing a thank you page, this is what happens. So they land on this experience, a very, very personalized experience where in the background, they can now see a microsite absolutely customized and personalized for them. And they get this introduction video from the advisor pre-recorded with extremely personalized message. So welcome, Kate. That's the first name of the lead. Say hi to your admission counselor, that is Olivia, and a message from Olivia. So what we are trying to do here is instead of giving them information overload with a direct access to the microsite, we want to introduce them to the microsite. And who does that? The advisor who has been assigned. And how do we do this? It's exactly through the rule engine that I spoke about, where we can create rules and in matter of seconds, we can assign the right advisor, connect the student with the advisor so that they can start building that relationship and they get answers and information that they're looking for rather than having to wait and then not picking up your calls. So now the student can get started and they land on this microsite. Now, what we also do with this is there are a lot of automations that we have in place. So this microsite is unique for each and every student based on their location or program of interest. We send them a text message or email with the unique link of the microsite so that even if they drop off, they can always come back if they have to take actions. This microsite is built with our inbuilt builder, so which means it can be customized, personalized with your website theme, logo, color. And now let me introduce to the different sections of the microsite and how we are engaging the student automatically in a matter of seconds. First, we have the sticky section where the student can always see the advisor they're connected with this welcome message and different CTAs where they can take action. So what we are trying to do here is shift that power in the hands of the student, and they can decide through booking an appointment, request a callback, chat, or even we can add CTAs like book a campus tour, right? So they can take actions here. But why would they take action? That's exactly because of the information that we give them that they're looking for. With that, I move to the second section, which is the dynamic widget. right? So what we are doing here is these are information mostly not available on the websites, right? So based on their location, we are telling them how far is the campus, or based on their program of interest, we show them how many jobs are available around you. So the idea is to motivate them for the course that they're interested in, give them information. It can even give information, right? Like average pay once you complete the course, right? So we can pull this through external API integrations that we have in place. And
That's
that's
one of
what
my
the
favorite parts, by the way. I just think that's so motivating as soon as you get on. Like, these are jobs that are already available. To me, that's like, I need to get in school right away. And this is not up to a school to start inputting all the jobs. What he just said was there's an open API that like essentially crawls the internet for these jobs, right? So they're just automatically connecting all the beauty jobs, all the hair openings, all the SD openings in that area.
Yes, that's correct. Right. And with the dynamic widget, we also have these static widgets. Now, what we are trying to do here is give them information around their program of interest. So in a very structured way in one place, rather than them having to navigate through, and things like program details. So if they click here, they can see a quick snippet, they can see the curriculum overview, they can have details around financial aid, they can have a calculator, or if you want to keep simple and that based on certain implementations that we are doing as we speak, there are schools who opted to go with a simple format that, hey, can I have a campus tour video and a testimonial video from one of our students from the last batch? So that's a great way of introducing your programs, your campus to potential leads. So that's what the static widgets can do. It can be extremely simple, but very, very powerful. And then finally, we have the smart nudges section. So here, what we are trying to do is give them information that they're looking for and that matters to them, like scholarships, how many scholarships are available around you, or if you want to maximize your financial aid, you can quickly look for financial advice, or you can go through our success stories, and these are all CTAs. So the goal here is engage them instantly within seconds, motivate them with information that matters to them, and get them to take action so that they have the power. So if they click here, they go back to these CTAs. And very quickly, talking about these CTAs, book appointment, what are we trying to do here? We're trying to give the student the option to choose when they would prefer a call, so that it's planted in their head and they would definitely pick up the call. Request a callback. When they're looking for a callback instantly and they choose to click here, we show them the number from which they should expect a call in the next 15-30 minutes. So that's a great way of letting them know that this is the number from which you would get a call. Make sure to pick it up. And chat, that's the most powerful feature that we have. Why? Because when this microsite is generated and the student is engaging here, through the automation that I spoke about, we also inform the advisor. It can be via text message, email, or both, or also inside the CRM. So now advisor knows that there is a student who's engaging, so they can capture the student when they're at their hottest in their evaluation journey right on this microsite through the chat. So the advisor can also initiate the chat from the CRM and start talking to the student, asking questions, because right now the student is extremely interested because it's them who have filled the form, right? So that's what this platform does. And because we also spoke about certain mass campaigns like text blasts or emails, what we can also do is when you want to nurture leads, this microsite can be a great way of running your campaigns where based on the student details, we can auto generate the microsite for each of those leads that probably have been cold, and you can send out those text campaigns or email campaigns with a microsite link which is personalized for them. That's a great way of nurturing, right? So that's what this product does. I wanted to cover it as quickly as possible and very briefly in the interest of time, but I'll pass
That's
it on to
great.
Loren.
There's a question in the chat really quick, and I want to talk about this because when I first saw this, I was obsessed with it. But I'm going to tell you something I didn't love knowing beauty schools, and it's something that Victoria just put in the chat. She said, it's great, love the concept. Can you share the show rates from using this flow stack? How does it impact show rates when we don't have the opportunity to build rapport just to click a book tour? Here's what I want to share with that. You don't have to do the scheduling feature. You can make this however you want. Here's the goal, guys. Someone's filling out a form. Now, instead of them clicking off the website and waiting for you to call because all you had was a thank you page, now they're on here. Now they're going to be looking at program details. Now they're going to be looking at FAFSA. So when you call them, you are already arming them with way more information about your school and they're still engaged with different aspects of literally pulling out pieces of your website. So as far as like, this is not a replacement for you. Do not use this and think that you're going to have everyone scheduling tours. It's not going to happen. I know how kids are. Like 100%, that's not going to happen in the beauty school world. You should still be calling. You should still be texting. But what you're giving people is a personalized experience that keeps them engaged on your website with information about your school. Rupam, anything else to add to that?
Yeah, so just to add some quick numbers, right? So you would see at least an increase in, at least a 10% increase in your interviews with 20 to 30% lesser activities, right? So so what I mean by that is the kind of effort that you put in today with respect to the different touch points, your cadence. So you'd put in at least 30% lesser effort and see an increase of 10%. That's the sort of numbers that we have as of today. This product is, of course, early. So that's what we are seeing. Of course, we would expect this to get better.
Love it. So you can do different features, y'all. You can just go ahead and do these landing pages. I think it would be smart if you had multiple programs to create one for each program, because I know your website is like discombobulated with nails and makeup and hair and SD, and like you can really personalize this to explore just the esthetician program and even add-ons for that. A picture of the student kit. Like, guys, Leadsquared works with boring schools, like schools that don't have beauty, right? These are boring schools. We're beauty. We get to put pictures and videos and pictures of our amazing student kits. And like, it's so much more fun and so much more visual than like an accounting school. Am I wrong, Loren? Is that mean?
Oh, I love it. Yeah. And I mean, one thing I think we struggle with phone and text is like giving that visual, right? So this customized landing page is a really cool opportunity to curate something specific for the student and bring their attention to these visual things that they might not otherwise see through a text or a phone call. So I think it's a really cool, unique option in the market right now. If you're interested, we are running a couple special offers. We're waiving all of our implementation fees right now. And if you go through Jenn as a referral, we'll do 1 month free for an annual contract. So
Oh, we love that. Awesome. Love
yeah.
that. Okay. So, what's the best way to reach out to y'all? I know some of you guys have been in the chat, but just want to make sure, what's the best way?
You can email me directly. That's easy. And then I can pass it on.
Okay, perfect. We'll include your information, but guys, tomorrow you will get an email with a full recording to this webinar, so you can send it to your boss, you can send it to your team. I want to recap some of the important things that we did talk about today, and that was come up with new engaging messaging. Let's not be boring. Let's be pointing out really great things about our school with the breadcrumbs, but we need to be asking questions. We need to be asking engaging, easy questions for them to answer so that they're more likely to answer. We also know about 40% of them won't even get back in contact with you. That's not on you, okay? That is on them. So don't feel responsible for that. Lastly, I want to point out schools that are winning are talking about financial aid way more upfront than further along in the process. So we want to be bringing that up before they even bring it up to us. Thank you, Loren, for joining us today. This was such great info. I'm loving the microsite idea. So you guys reach out to Leadsquared. And thank you again. Everyone is being so kind in the comments. Let me tease next month's webinar. We are going to be doing, for the first time ever, an actual live workshop of how to create TikToks. So I'm going to be sharing my phone, and we are going to be making TikToks together so I can show you how to edit. I can show you how to caption. I can show you how to add text on screen. It's going to be super, super basic, easy stuff regarding TikTok. All right. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks, Loren. Thanks, Rupam. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.